Based on Part 1's outline, here's a short opening scene. Part 1. The Desperate Call. The crystalline spires of Zephyr Prime sang their death song as another wave of hegemony plasma fire scorched the sky. Crystal Mother Velthara stood before the quantum relay, her translucent form pulsing with desperate determination. "This is our final transmission," she broadcast across the galaxy. "We, the Zephyrian Collective, offer our terraforming knowledge, the power to birth worlds to any who will stand with us against extinction." Across the void, 100 civilizations received the call. The proud Drakmari generals laughed at the crystal weaklings. The Nexus Collective's machines calculated the risk as unprofitable. The Vegan elders simply ignored it. Only one response came through the static. "This is Commander Jisoo Kim of the Terran Federation." The voice crackled through subspace. "We've received your message. Humanity answers your call." In the depths of space, War Prime Gorthic's mandibles clicked in amusement. These humans would learn what happened to those who dared oppose the hegemony's conquest. The human ships arrived at Zephyr Prime like wounded birds, their metal hulls scarred and smoking from the journey through hegemony patrol zones. Captain Hyun Park stepped off the transport, his simple uniform a stark contrast to the crystalline beauty of the Zephyrian Welcoming Committee. Elder Keithrim floated forward, his crystal body refracting the dying light of their sun. "I came," he said, his voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "But forgive our doubt, your vessels appear primitive." "They get the job done," Park replied, watching his team unload crates of equipment that looked crude next to Zephyrian. Technology engineer Nari Lee approached, wiping grease from her hands. "Sir, their quantum computers are incredible, but their weapons," she shook her head. "They've got defensive shields, but barely any offensive capabilities." Kithrim's glow dimmed with shame. "We are builders, not destroyers. The hegemony caught us unprepared." Within hours, alarms shrieked across the Crystal City. Hegemony forces had captured a research facility on the moon, taking 20 Zephyrian scientists hostage. The creatures demanded surrender, or the prisoners would be converted into hegemony servants. "Their shields are too strong," a Zephyrian warrior reported. "Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses." Park studied the tactical display. His team gathered around him. The hegemony facility was a fortress of energy barriers and automated defenses. Conventional assault seemed impossible. "Nari," Park said quietly, "what did you say about their shields?" Lee pulled up her scanner readings. "They're tuned to resist directed energy weapons and projectiles, but—" She paused, thinking. "They might not expect something different." Park smiled for the first time since arriving. "Load the transport with every fire extinguisher, oxygen tank, and kitchen explosive you can find." Keithrim watched in confusion. As humans loaded their ship with what appeared to be cleaning supplies and food preparation equipment. "Captain, surely you need proper weapons." "Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't see coming," Park replied. The rescue mission launched under cover of a meteor shower that Nari had calculated would mask their approach. As they neared the facility, hegemony sensors detected them. "Warning, primitive vessel," came the mechanical voice. "Retreat or be destroyed." "This is Captain Park of the Dental Cleaning Service," Hyun transmitted calmly. "We're here to maintain the facility's air filtration systems." The hegemony paused, confused by this unexpected response. Their computers had no protocols for janitors, as their ship passed through the outer shields. Lee worked frantically at her makeshift device, a combination of fire extinguisher chemicals and fermented food that created a thick, corrosive fog when mixed. "Now," Park whispered. They released their improvised weapon into the facility's ventilation system. The fog spread quickly and something unexpected happened. The hegemony shields, designed to stop weapons, had no defense against what appeared to be a cleaning accident. The fog ate through their equipment like acid through paper. Systems failed, lights died. The hegemony soldiers stumbled blind through their own facility. Park's team moved swiftly, rescuing the captured scientists while the hegemony forces struggled with equipment failures. They loaded the prisoners and escaped before the enemy understood what had happened. Back on Zephyr Prime, Keithrim stared at the rescued scientists with wonder. "Remarkable. You defeated their systems with cleaning supplies. Sometimes, Nari explained, the smartest solution is the simplest one. They expected advanced weapons, not janitor supplies. The other Zephyrians gathered, their crystals glowing, brighter with hope. They had seen humans use garbage to save lives. These strange creatures from the far galaxy fought with tools, not just weapons. They improvised where others calculated. They succeeded where others failed. Perhaps, Kistrim said slowly, there is wisdom in your simplicity. Park nodded. We've learned to work with what we have. On our world, survival means adaptation. As the first successful mission ended, both species looked at each other with new understanding. The Zephyrians saw that strength didn't always mean advanced technology. The humans saw that intelligence could take many forms. The real alliance had just begun, built not on shared technology but on mutual respect for different ways of thinking. The war was far from over, but now they faced it together. The hegemony fleet arrived at Dawn Sector with overwhelming force, 300 warships in perfect formation. Lieutenant Jun Choi watched from his command deck as the enemy vessels moved like a single metal organism, their weapons charged and ready. Same pattern as always, Specialist Hana Won observed from her intelligence station. They advance in straight lines, expecting us to fight them the same way. Choi smiled. That's because they've never fought humans before. Pilot Tai Seo adjusted his flight suit and grinned. So what's the plan, Lieutenant? Our 50 fighters against their 300. Not 50, Choi replied, 500. The next day, civilian ships launched from Zephyr Prime. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, passenger transports, all piloted by volunteers. The hegemony sensors detected the approaching fleet and prepared for a traditional battle. Sir, a hegemony officer reported to their commander, enemy fleet detected. Ship count, 450 civilian vessels, 50 military. Pathetic, the hegemony general replied. These primitives send farmers against warriors, destroy them all. But as the battle began, something unexpected happened. The civilian ships scattered in all directions, moving in chaotic patterns that made no sense. The hegemony forces tried to follow, but their rigid formations broke apart trying to track the random movements. One had studied hegemony combat data for weeks. They think in straight lines, she explained to her team. Their minds work like machines, efficient but predictable. SEO's fighter squadron used the confusion perfectly. While hegemony ships chased fake targets, the real fighters struck from unexpected angles. They had modified their weapons with Zephyrian crystal technology, but not in the way anyone expected. EMP charging, CO reported, activating his improvised weapon. The device combined human electronics with Zephyrian quantum crystals. Instead of trying to blast through shields, it sent waves that confused the enemy systems. The hegemony ships suddenly found their navigation systems showing false readings. Their weapons targeted empty space, their communications filled with static. They were fighting ghosts. Choi had learned something from watching Zephyrian children play. Your young ones, he had asked Kistrim. How do they hide from each other? They shift their light, the elder had explained. They become hard to see, blending with their surroundings. Like camouflage, one had realized, but humans took the idea further. Instead of just hiding, they created false signals. Every civilian ship broadcast fake readings, making one ship look like 5. The hegemony computers counted thousands of Yuki, enemies that didn't exist. Tae Seo's squadron danced between the confused hegemony forces. His modified fighter looked like a small asteroid on their sensors. When he fired, his EMP bursts didn't destroy enemy ships. They made them fall asleep. Genius, one whispered, watching the battle unfold. Instead of breaking through their shields, we're making them shield against nothing. One by one, hegemony ships drifted powerless as their systems crashed from trying to process too much false information. Their advanced computers couldn't handle the chaos humans created. The hegemony general finally understood what was happening. Retreat, he ordered. These are not the fights we trained for. As the enemy fleet fled, Choi gathered his tired team. They had defeated a force 6 times their size without destroying a single enemy ship. How did you know this would work? A Zephyrian observer asked. One smiled. On Earth, we have a saying, sometimes the best way to win is not to play by the rules. SEO added, "We learned to fight dirty because Earth is a dangerous place. Survival means using your brain, not just your weapons." The Battle of Dawn Sector changed everything. Other galactic races had tried to fight the hegemony with better technology and failed. Humans fought them with worse technology and won. The Zephyrians watched in amazement as human creativity turned their own advanced systems into weapons the enemy never expected. A mining laser became a communication disruptor. A cargo scanner became a false target generator. Choi looked at the retreating hegemony fleet. They expect logic from everyone, but humans we're beautifully illogical sometimes. That night, as both species celebrated their victory, young Zephyrians and human children played together in the crystal gardens. The children mixed their light tricks with human games, creating new ways to have fun. One watched them and understood something important. "We don't just fight differently," she told Choi. "We think differently, and that might be exactly what this galaxy needs." The war was far from over, but the hegemony now feared something they had never experienced before, an enemy that made no sense. The crystal nexus hung in space like a giant diamond, its faceted surface reflecting the light of dying suns. Around it, the hegemony assembled their greatest fleet, 2,000 ships led by their supreme overlord. They had come to end this annoying resistance once and for all. Admiral Rin Yu stood on the bridge of the flagship Harmony, watching the overwhelming force gather. Her small fleet of 200 human and Zephyrian vessels looked like toys compared to the massive hegemony armada. "Ma'am," reported Major Kang Min, "our scouts confirm it. Every hegemony command ship is here. If we can take out their leaders, we—" "Hold I," finished analyst Sujin Lim grimly. "But maybe that's enough." For weeks, Lim had studied captured hegemony data. She discovered something the enemy didn't know she knew. Their soldiers were all connected to their commanders through quantum links. Kill the commanders, and the soldiers became lost and confused. Yu gathered her senior staff. "Operation Mirror. Break is simple," she explained. "We hit every command ship at exactly the same moment. No time delay, no second chances." "Admiral," a Zephyrian officer asked, "what if we miss one command ship?" "Then we die, and our species become slaves." Yu said simply. "Any other questions?" The battle began at dawn. The hegemony fleet moved forward like a metal wall, confident in their numbers. Their advance looked unstoppable, but Yu had positioned her forces in a strange pattern. Instead of defending the crystal nexus, human ships spread out in groups of 3. Each group targeted one hegemony command vessel. The Zephyrians provided power and shields while humans provided speed and weapons. "Remember," Kang transmitted to all units, "focus on command ships only, ignore everything else." The first wave of hegemony fighters reached human lines. Instead of fighting back, the human ships pushed through, taking heavy damage, but never stopping. Their mission wasn't to survive, it was to reach their targets. Pilot after pilot made the ultimate sacrifice. Jinju Park rammed her fighter into a command ship's bridge after her weapons failed. Lieutenant Minho Song used his damaged ship as a shield so others could continue their attack. "Ma'am," Lim called from her station, "we're losing too many ships. We won't make it to all the targets." Yu closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them with new determination. "Signal all Zephyrian vessels, transfer power to our engines. Everything you have." The crystal beings didn't hesitate. Their ships glowed bright as they channeled all energy to the human vessels. Many Zephyrian ships went dark and defenseless, but they trusted their human allies. Kang's assault teams moved like lightning. Powered by Zephyrian energy, they reached the first command cluster. All teams synchronized strike in 3, 2, 2, 1. Execute. 97 human ships fired at once. 97 hegemony command vessels erupted in light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the hegemony fleet went silent. Thousands of enemy soldiers suddenly stopped moving. Their ships drifted aimlessly. Their formations collapsed. Without their commanders, they were lost. But victory came at a price. Only 47 human ships remained active. The space around Crystal Nexus was filled with debris from both fleets. The hegemony survivors tried to retreat, but their own forces fired on them in confusion. Without orders, they attacked friends and enemies alike. Yu slumped in her chair, exhausted but alive. "Report," she whispered. "Hegemony command structure destroyed," Lim announced. "Their fleet is in complete chaos. Sir, we did it." Major Kang's voice came through the comm, broken with emotion. "Admiral, we lost 60% of our people, but we saved them all." On Zephyr Prime, Crystal Mother Velthara wept tears of liquid light. The humans had kept their promise. Young humans and Zephyrians had died together, fighting for a future neither might see. The hegemony fleet, now leaderless, scattered across the galaxy. Some groups continued fighting, but most simply wandered in space, their purpose lost with their commanders. Yu looked at the crystal nexus still shining in the darkness. Around it floated the wreckage of the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen, but it was over. The Zephyrians were free. "Admiral," a young officer asked, "what do we do now?" Yu smiled for the first time in months. "Now we heal. And we make. Sure this never happens again." The tide had turned, but at a cost both species would remember forever. 6 months after the Battle of Crystal Nexus, the palace on Zephyr Prime buzzed with activity. Representatives from a dozen galactic civilizations had gathered for the signing of the Covenant of Stars. The same races that had ignored the Zephyrian plea for help now wanted to join their alliance with humanity. Ambassador Du Young Park adjusted his ceremonial uniform as he walked beside Crystal Speaker Zenvali through the grand hall. The Zephyrian's body pulsed with warm golden light, a sign of contentment Park had learned to recognize. "Your people saved us," Zenvali said for the 100th time, "when no one else would." "We saved each other," Park replied, watching human. "Children play with young Zephyrians in the crystal gardens outside." "That's what allies do." The Drakmari representatives sat stiffly at their table, still uncomfortable with the idea of humans as equals. The proud warrior race had arrived with gifts of advanced weapons, trying to make up for their earlier refusal to help. "How amusing," their general muttered, "that such a young species would lead us now." Colonel Bora Jin, the new commander of Alliance forces, overheard and smiled. She had studied at the newly built Human Zephyrian Academy, learning both species' ways of war and peace. "Age isn't wisdom," she said politely. "Sometimes fresh eyes see what old ones miss." The signing ceremony began with traditional Zephyrian light songs and human chorus. As each species added their mark to the tieri, "Tati," Park thought about the journey that brought them here. The hegemony still existed in scattered pockets, but they no longer moved as one force. Some groups had even surrendered, their soldiers choosing to join the alliance rather than wander, lost in space. After the ceremony, a young Nexus Collective ambassador approached Park nervously. "Ambassador," she said, "we've received a distress call from the Rimwood sectors. The Devourer swarms have attacked 3 worlds." Park's expression grew serious. The Devourers were another galactic threat, creatures that consumed entire planets, leaving nothing behind. "What forces can the affected systems provide?" Park asked. "Very little," the ambassador admitted. "They're mostly mining colonies and research stations." Zenvali floated closer, his light dimming with concern. "The old Galactic Council would have abandoned those worlds. Too few, too remote, too poor to defend." Park looked at his friend and smiled. "Good thing we're not the old Council." Within hours, Alliance ships were moving toward the Rimwood sectors. The fleet was smaller than what faced the hegemony, but it included the newest addition. Former hegemony vessels crewed by mixed human Zephyrian teams. Colonel Jin led the tactical planning. "The Devourers are different from the hegemony," she explained to her mixed crew. "They don't think like us at all, but they still have weaknesses." Young Zephyrian navigators worked with human engineers to plot courses through dangerous space. Ex-hegemony soldiers shared intelligence about Devourer behavior. The Alliance had become something new, a family of different species working as one. The rescue mission succeeded, though not without losses. The Devourers retreated when faced with tactics they had never encountered before. But more importantly, the rescued colonies asked to join the Alliance. Park stood on the bridge of his ship, watching Zephyrian crystal ships help repair human vessels damaged in the battle. In the distance, new worlds glowed with the promise, Have shared technology and culture. Sir, a communications officer reported, we're receiving another distress call. The Andromedans are asking for help against some kind of plague. And? Park asked, though he already knew his answer. They're offering knowledge of faster-than-light communication in exchange for medical aid. Zenvali's crystals chimed with what Park now recognized as laughter. Once no one answered our call for help, now we answer everyone's. It's what we learned from you, Park said. Sometimes standing together is the only way to stand at all. The ship turned toward Andromeda, carrying healers from 5 different species. Behind them, the crystal nexus shone like a beacon, its light visible across half the galaxy. In schools throughout Alliance space, children learned about the day 2 different species chose each other when no one else would. The lesson was simple. Courage shared becomes hope for all. The Covenant of Stars had begun with a desperate cry for help, and one species willing to answer. Now it protected thousands of worlds, proving that sometimes the greatest strength comes from choosing to help, even when you gain nothing in return. As the Alliance fleet jumped to light speed, Park thought about the words engraved on the Covenant. Memorial. We cried for help. Only humans chose to stand with us. Now we all stand together. The galaxy had learned that compassion was not weakness, but the foundation of true strength.